but I got a flip out screen that I can see what's going on. So
Flip up is great, but flip out is so much easier.
Flip up screen and the microphone. I think you have to choose one or the other. You can't really do both.
I'm not trying to talk about the flippy screen the whole time, but it'd be cool if it was like to the side, you know? So like the mic, because I'm seeing your mic right now. Your mic placement is on the side, which I feel like works fine, but I don't know.
That screen needs to flip out, not up.
I love the flip up screen, but I really would like a flip to the side screen.
You do not need a flip up screen to vlog. Stop saying you need a flip up screen. You do not want a flip out screen. Stop asking for a flip out screen. You can vlog without these things if you just use your brain and understand filmmaking and focal lengths. So, I watched this video, Armando, yeah, I forget how to figure his first name. Just put up about the 6400 that Sony just came out with, and YouTubers and vlogging, and everyone talks about like how they need a flip up screen, and then they're like, oh no, excuse me, everyone keeps wanting a flip out screen, or they want a flip up screen so they can see themselves. I'm doing this right now, and I have no way of knowing if I'm in focus or anything. I just set up these lights around me, put one up there. I have a microphone on the top of the camera and the light. If you want to see how I do the microphone, here's a picture. I made a video how I create this thing because microphones sit too freaking high. And someone wanted to, with some of those the little mount for, you could do that to the 6400 and it would be off to the side. You can still see the flip up screen. But everyone's like, oh, look, this, APS-C size camera. I don't like vlogging with APS-C. I used to do that with my 5100. I still have that bad boy. And I did I posted a picture to Instagram showing the difference between APS-C with ND and this camera outside. It's just so different with the full frame. Goodness. So 6400 to me is a waste of time if you really want beautiful vlogging pictures. Granted, right now, I don't think the full frame is doing that much justice, but outside we have deep space and things like that. That's where the full frame will really kind of... But vlogging with this a7iii versus a camera that has a flip-up screen. So yeah, with a flip-up screen, you do get to see yourself, but I noticed when I was vlogging with this thing, I would always look at myself instead of into the lens at you guys, the audience. Even right now, I'm not really looking at the lens much, mostly because this light's so bright, I can't see the lens well. But I started, when I knew this camera I was about to buy and it was fixing to come and I was about ready to order it, I stopped using the flip-up screen and start putting it down. Like, I would actually put it up, I was like, okay, I'm good, and then I would kind of put it down, so I would focus on looking into the lens. But I don't look into the lens that often when I'm vlogging anyway, because I look into it and I start talking, and then I start thinking and I look away. I got this camera because of the autofocus. I knew it would be as good as the APS-C one that was in this A51. This A5100 autofocus, I think 98% of the time, I was always in focus in vlogging mode. Even when I had the flip-up screen and I could see. The camera on this, same thing. When I'm in vlogging mode, 98% of the time I'm in focus. Even if I set it down and walk away, it knows that I'm the face to, unless someone else walks into frame from really far away, they might, focus in, but most of the time it doesn't. I did do some tests for film where I was putting my hand up like this, but I started learning to vlog without that by using a little bit of math and knowledge of how lenses and focal lengths work, so to speak. So, I'm going to use this camera as an example. When this is 28 millimeters, so I know 28 millimeters, so about 2.5 feet, which, this is not 2.5 feet, but from here to my face is roughly 2 feet. So I know that my top of my head is right at the top of the line. I just learned that I don't need a really flip screen to know composition, because I understand focal lengths on full frame cameras, 28 millimeter, 50 millimeter, 35 millimeter. I know how far I need to be to have a medium close-up, or a medium shot, or a medium long shot, or a long shot. I understand how far away for each focal length that needs to be. So now we're on a 50 millimeter, 5 feet away. This is a lot easier to understand than 2.8 because 2.8, 28 millimeter, 2.8, but 50 millimeter, 5 feet away. And this is the shot. This is what's a medium close-up. Real easy to understand. If we double this to where my sister goes back to 10 feet, so 50 millimeter at 5 feet, then now at 10 feet, now we're at 10 feet, and my sister went down about a foot height-wise, and now we get me from here to my knees, which is a medium long shot. So you see how that went from medium close to medium long shot. You're like, well, Carl, how do I do a medium shot? That's easy. Let's go to 7. So now we're a medium shot, and all I did was go back 2.5 feet, half of 5 feet. And what's interesting is if I get real close to 2.5 feet on a lens, and she goes up a little more, you should just be seeing just my face. Maybe a little bit of my neck and shoulders, but just this, because that's a close up. My point is everyone sits here and talks about how, oh, I need to see myself in the flip-up screen. With the power of this autofocus system in this camera that's now better in this camera, I don't think you need to see yourself. I think it's better because this way I get to look at you, the audience, instead of looking at myself in the composition. And they're talking about how, well, I don't have a way of doing the microphone. Well, if you do that, if you don't even use the flip-up screen, I mean, you could pop the flip-up screen real quick to check exposure. But when I do this run and gun, I have it on auto ISO. I have my usually my ND when I'm outside, have that all the way shut because this thing's great at low light, so I don't need to worry about like, oh no, am I getting graphics, or something like that. Unless I go inside, then I might want to the aperture wide open, put the ND closed. I put the shutter speed always at 1/150, and I put on auto ISO, auto white balance, and I just fucking rock it. Because I also know how to color correct, so I can always just change the color if it's a little off between two shots, if I really feel like it's needed. But these guys, they say they need, like, if you want to like pop it up to check exposure because you're in a really bright area, I understand that. But what I'll do a lot of times with this is I'll just hold it up, put my hand in front of it, that's distance, and just see what exposure is, and then pop around and do it in case it's like a weird like sun angle and like the sun, it's fighting the sun. I'm really in shadows and the sun's exposed or something. I'll just put my hand up real quick, do a test look, do the exposures in the camera, and then vlog. It's not that big of a deal. It's not really that needed that badly. Now, in the case of like a studio setting where you're trying to see stuff, I could see that kind of needing to be to see where you're at and stuff like that. And especially if you're doing one of the things like, like when you're holding a camera, like Casey Neistat would do, and he like points at a person, and you want to know if they're in a frame without looking at them. So, and everyone wants a flip out screen. I personally do not want. If they're going to do a flip-ups, I'd rather them do flip-up. I'd rather them do something like you see on the A99, I think it is. Maybe it's not A99, excuse me. It has this hinge next to the viewfinder that flips it way up. What's weird is I see Casey Neistat's videos when he would always drop it or hit the side of the monitor and break it, or somehow mess up the hinge, and he would have to like modify it. Armando Ferreira, I had this problem with him online where me and him were discussing this on one of his comments, and I said, he's like, just send it out. It's like, if this is my only camera, I can't send this out if it breaks. I can't, have okay, well, I'm just not going to do vlogs for a couple months and have the money to send it to Sony for them to fix a hinge or something. Plus, something that has happened to a friend of mine is the input jack on the Sony's on the side actually went bad. So if you have a flip-up screen and you have your jack right there too, and you try to turn it, you might end up hitting that input jack for the audio and messing the jack up. Now you can't use the microphone. You have to use the onboard mic. So that's another issue right there. It's like it's always in the way of flipping and spinning it because you have a jack right there. I just think they should put the whole shoe mount thing on the side and let your audio and your stuff like that, because if that stuff breaks off, it's cheaper than replacing the camera. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. The viewfinders can pop up like these. Put the jack on the side, and you can have a flip-up screen. Maybe that's just my way of looking at it. Because when I had this thing, I dropped this thing I think maybe 50 times, and when I had the flip-up screen, it never once fell on top of it. It always fell on the side, either this side or it fell on this side. When you're walking through places, you don't hit things this way. You'll hit people on the sides of the camera, and that's what's going to knock that lens. So if you're walking and someone just happens to brush by, you guys are trying to, go around people as you're vlogging, or you're going through a doorway and you're trying to squeeze through, the sides of this thing is where you're going to hit. And if that thing's already articulated as much as it can, you're going to just snap it. And that's why I don't want one on the side. And I was trying to explain that to Armando. He was just like, well, just send it out and get it replaced. It's like, excuse us, man. This is the only camera. I'm broke. I saved up to buy this camera. I can't go send it out to, my $2,000 camera to get fixed. Even that, what is this a6500? Like $850? 6400, excuse me? $850? I bought this thing used a couple years ago for $500. Now it's like $350 used. So this is the only camera I've ever bought new. So that's, I don't know. It's kind of one thing I get a little angry about with the people saying, oh, put the flip out screen. No. No. I don't want a flip out. I want a flip up screen. I want to keep everything vertical. I don't want nothing expanding this way. If Sony made a little hinge system that was right on the other side of the Sony thing where your finger is, and it hinged up, the way I have the microphone wouldn't be in the way, and I would be able to see myself. But I wouldn't see myself as I vlog. I would pop it up, check composition, put it back down. I don't know, that's just the way I do. Yeah, so you don't need a flip up or a flip out screen to vlog. You can do that if you know actual camera geometry and camera lenses. If you actually study filmmaking and understand 28mm full frame or a 16mm on a APS-C, 18mm equivalent. If you understand those things and understand focal lengths and geometry and understand those things, you don't need a flip up screen. You should be able to vlog without one by just using your noggin, some math. So, what do you guys think? You think I'm wrong? Think I'm right? Think you could vlog without a flippy screen? Got any more questions about how the whole math thing works? Let me know. Comments below. I can make a whole video about the math, focal lengths, and sensor sizes. Because that 50mm thing, all you gotta do is, if it's an APS-C, just 1.5. If it's micro four thirds, think 2x crop factor. Simple math, in my opinion. Anyone can do it. And once you start doing it, it all just starts to make sense. Anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. And go watch Armando's video where you get to see him and the other people use the 6400 if you're interested. Alright.